Well, hi James, and I want to first thank you for joining me for a quick little interview today. I just want to let you know that I'm recording this. It's just going to go onto my online blog. I'm not going to be publishing it anywhere. It's just as an
That's
edit,
right.
okay? So I've just got not many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. 5 or 6 questions. It won't take very long. I just want to pick your brain a little bit more about what you do and what your opinions are on certain things, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So I know we've previously discussed that a lot of your music production is made by using second-hand equipment. I just wanted to ask you, what is it about buying this equipment second-hand that inspires you?
It all started off just because it was a lot cheaper. I never really could afford to buy brand new equipment all the time. Then after you find a lot of the second-hand stuff tends to be sort of vintage old equipment. After using it for a while, I tend to find you just prefer the sound of it compared to sort of more modern digital equipment.
That's cool. So besides music, is there any other aspect in your life that you second-hand shop?
Yeah, pretty much. The vast majority of the clothes I wear are all second-hand. Apart from band T-shirts, that's the only thing I tend to buy nowadays that is sort of brand new.
So is your music equipment and your fashion choices. So that leads nicely on to what I was going to ask next. So do you think that music genres still have effect on people's fashion choices today? As obviously in history that has been one of the main things.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of the time you can look at people and sort of get an idea of what they listen to based off how they dressed. For example, people listen to metal often wearing a lot of black, maybe skinny jeans, denim jackets, that sort of stuff. Tend to find, people into indie music, they'll dress, sort of like cord trousers, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty obvious a lot of the time.
So they're still relevant today. The two still very much influence each other.
Yeah, 100%.
So do you think then, is there any particular music genre that might represent second-hand shopping?
I think not particularly. You tend to sort of see it most in people like a lot of indie music. It kind of goes on with that sort of, it's kind of like a culture really, it's sort of cool to dress vintage and retro.
So you're saying it's more of a lifestyle choice rather than an influence or a trend? Or would you say that maybe second-hand shopping is a trend that's a hot topic today?
I think it started off as a trend, maybe, go back a couple of years. But I think, as people are getting a lot more mindful nowadays, especially with, this whole climate change is getting a lot more to the forefront of, modern news, people are sort of making a conscious effort to not only shop secondhand because it's a trend, but now it's because, they want to do their bit to be more sustainable, especially with the massive rise of, all this fast fashion with like Boohoo and Pretty Little Thing getting so popular recently. I think people are starting to sort of go against that now.
I think also I know there's a lot of big bands out there in the minute, like 1975, who are raising awareness for sustainability and secondhand shopping in their live gigs or in their video tours
Yeah,
or
sure.
online. Do you think this has an effect on people's shopping habits?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you tend to find, especially with like younger audiences, they're heavily influenced by the sort of idols of their time. With 1985 being such a huge name in modern pop and even indie music, they got sort of crossover. They've got such a huge worldwide audience, and everyone that sort of listens to them is going to listen to the sort of things they say as well, and sort of follow those sort of beliefs. You already see a whole next generation of sort of younger sort of music fans and even artists like say Biba Doobie, for instance. She's pretty current, got a huge following, and sort of has that whole like vintage Y2K look. And I'm pretty sure that stemmed from her being a fan of Matt Healy in 1975 as well.
Yeah. So I hear you mention Y2K, which is obviously a very on-trend movement at the minute. Do you think that we've been talking a lot about music and the influence it has on secondhand shopping in a younger generation? Do you think this may have effect on an old generation or an established generation that, well, inevitably made fast fashion what it is today, do you think it can change people's opinions?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's that small percentage of people who probably wouldn't change their mind, but again, people seem to have a lot more sort of open thinking nowadays. For what they're shopping. Even without clothes, you see a lot of these like zero waste shops popping up, and it tends to be a sort of older generation, like sort of new parents that are shopping there, and that's probably going to follow through with the sort of clothes they're going to buy now as well.
Yeah, fab. Well, considering that a lot of your life is secondhand shopping, if you had any words of advice for someone who wanted to make changes in their life to become more sustainable regarding their music or regarding their fashion choices, what would you say to them?
Well, if you want to shop sort of second hand, it's not really like a big deal. I mean, you don't have to wear sort of out there funky clothes to when you shop second hand. You can get a lot of really normal clothes as well. It's all about how you style it at the end of the day. But you shouldn't really be put off by things being second hand. A lot of the time, you find that the old sort of second hand clothes are a lot better quality than even the new stuff being made. So it's always worth having a look to see what you find, especially going around to not just specific vintage stores, but even charity shops. You'd be amazed what people throw away.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you said that the older products tend to last longer and a better quality, because the whole definition of fast fashion is producing huge mass amount of clothing in a short
Yeah,
amount of time by not caring about quality. So it doesn't just have its environmental impacts; it does affect on the quality of clothing, which is something maybe
yeah, sure.
we could possibly explore with what I'm going to do, which I'm going to explain to you now. So for my MA, I'm looking to create an online campaign per se, starting online due to COVID, primarily social media. It might go into a website and it might go into events then post-COVID if we're ever allowed to. It's called What the Funk, and the tagline is, "Can funky clothes save the planet?" So
That
the
sounds
whole
good.
idea is just creating a safe online space for everyone really, anyone who's interested in fashion, anyone who's interested in being slightly more sustainable within their fashion choices, just to follow the page, see some beautifully designed infographics myself, including information on how to shop secondhand, and just a key element of it is collaboration, so it's collaborating with like-minded people. So, for example, I've been in talk with a manager from a vintage shop, and she's offered to do a tutorial for us on how to style some second-hand clothing. Just wondering, would you possibly like to collaborate with us, as seeing as music goes hand in hand with fashion? It'd be great to get, I don't know, not second-hand music, but music created using second-hand products to go along with our second-hand clothing.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be well up for that.
Okay, fab. Thank you. Well, I'll get back to you. Maybe we can sort something out. Okay.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
All right. Thank you for answering all my questions.
You're welcome. Bye.